Well, welcome to the 700 Club. The coronavirus now has over 100,000 cases around the world, and it continues to infect the financial markets.
Here in the United States, Maryland is the latest state to confirm cases inside its borders, and many other states are bracing to combat the virus as well. Mark Martin has the story.
Local, state, and federal government officials are working to contain the coronavirus as new cases are appearing from coast to coast. Off the coast of San Francisco, the Coast Guard dropped off testing kits to the Grand Princess cruise ship to screen potentially infected passengers and crew. 3,500 people are on board. Once the results come in, officials will determine where the ship can berth.
If we've been exposed, we've been exposed, and there's not much we can do about it.
In Washington, the state hardest hit, with at least 70 people infected and 11 confirmed dead. Some schools are sanitizing classrooms daily or closing to prevent the spread. And in New York, at least 1,000 people are under self-quarantine as more cases are being discovered through testing.
I'm perturbed that people get anxious every time the number goes up. The number has to go up if you continue to test.
At the White House, the president is expected to sign an $8.3 billion bill passed by Congress to tackle the outbreak. Vice President Mike Pence giving the governor of Washington an elbow bump and visiting a medical mask production facility in Minnesota promises the full resources of the federal government are being brought to bear to control the virus, but admits vulnerabilities.
We don't have enough tests today to meet what we anticipate will be the demand going forward.
And without enough testing kits, local communities are weighing how to respond. In Central Virginia, health officials are developing criteria for testing for the disease.
There may be people in our community who have mild symptoms, who don't meet those criteria, who we're not going to test, but may actually have the virus.
The virus also continues to infect the financial markets. The Dow plunged nearly 1,000 points Thursday and could go lower again today, responding to concerns of a global economic slowdown as the virus continues to spread worldwide. In Saudi Arabia, the Grand Mosque is closed for cleaning. And in Bethlehem, the Church of the Nativity, considered by many to be the birthplace of Jesus, is closed. CBN's Chris Mitchell explaining why.
Here in Israel, 17 Israelis have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. As a safeguard, the government has quarantined 70,000 people, and the Palestinian Authority has shut down the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem after an infected tourist visited the site.
There is some good news. The number of cases in South Korea and China is dropping, raising hopes that the virus can be contained. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Well, our CBN health reporter, Lori Johnson, is with us now. And Lori, we're still learning about the mortality rate, but now we're hearing reports out of China that the virus has already mutated. How many mutations should we look forward to? How deadly is this disease?
Great questions, Gordon, and it just goes to show how this situation is constantly changing. And you're right, scientists in China have identified 2 strains now of COVID-19. One is called strain L, and the other one is called strain S. Strain L is much more virulent. It is much more deadly, and they say that this was what was so rampant right away in Wuhan, where so many people died. And we know now that the death rate there in China, particularly in the Hubei province, has really dropped off. And scientists are wondering, is that because the L strain is a little bit less and the S strain is now more prevalent? This all points to the fact that scientists need to study this even further, and those studies are going on as we speak.
Well, as the scientists are studying, people are getting infected. And so what are some steps that people can take? I found myself yesterday suddenly getting really hungry for kimchi. What should people be doing in order to protect their health?
I love it. You're eating kimchi. That's right. Well, first of all, we know that the best thing we can do is not get the virus in the first place. And the ways to prevent doing that, the CDC says the best way to do that is to keep your hands clean and don't touch your face. We know that this is spread through droplets when people cough and sneeze. So that's we need to try to cough and sneeze into our arm or into a tissue. And sometimes those droplets can fall on hard surfaces that we touch. And then we have to make sure to sanitize the things we touch all the times, like our phones and our doorknobs and so many things. The World Health Organization, Gordon, says that sometimes these droplets can stay on hard surfaces for hours, up to many days, depending on the temperature and the humidity. But they say don't worry too much about packages that are being sent from places where there are outbreaks, like China, because when certain objects are being moved around and exposed to different temperatures and humidities, the virus is not very likely to survive that transit. If you do happen to get sick, of course, please stay home. Don't infect others and get well if your symptoms require it. The symptoms we know are high fever, shortness of breath, and body aches, and a cough, because this is a respiratory virus after all.
Well, it sounds a lot like a cold or the flu. And with flu season, I hear people saying, well, when the summer comes, this virus is going to disappear. Is that the case? Is a higher air temperature going to kill it? Or is this something that will be with us through the summer? Is it going to reoccur next fall?
Mm-hmm. That's the big question. And scientists don't really know about COVID-19, but they can look at some of its kinfolk, its relatives, other coronaviruses. And we know that 4 other coronaviruses are associated with the common cold, which is seasonal. So scientists are hoping that maybe this, like the common cold, is seasonal, which means we may see it again next fall, but by that time, hopefully, we'll have a vaccine. And scientists are also hopeful that by the end of this summer, if this thing sticks around, we will probably have therapeutics, drugs, to help people get better from this, like antiviral medications, which are being tested right now on COVID-19 patients.
All right, Lori, thank you for being with us. And if you, like me, have more questions about the coronavirus, we have a fact sheet for you. We're going to be updating you with the latest news, and you can get your free copy. All you have to do is call us. We'll send it to you as an email attachment. If you don't have email, we'll even mail it to you. 1-800-700-7000. And if you're worried about your gut health, and your gut is actually one of the prime defenses against any kind of infection, we'll have a booklet for you as well on that, where you can protect your gut. You can build a better gut. Again, it's absolutely free. We want you to be healthy, and so all you have to do is call us. 1-800-700-7000. We'll send it to you right away. In other news, the unofficial vote count is over in Israel. The question is, can Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu form a new government? Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, Netanyahu's Likud party won the most votes, but his conservative coalition is 3 seats short of a Knesset majority. And that has inspired new attempts to oust him from office. Chris Mitchell explains now from Jerusalem.
Although Likud supporters came out on top, the celebrations in the wee hours of Tuesday morning seem like a long time ago.
As much as these elections look right now, it's clear that Gantz and his bloc lost, but it is not clear that Netanyahu has a clear victory.
What we know after the third election is that Benjamin Netanyahu has the best chance to form a government. What isn't known is whether Israel's president, the courts, or the next Knesset will block Netanyahu's push to build a coalition. Since the election, Netanyahu's rivals are looking for ways to stop him from keeping his office.
The election results are slowly tallying up, and it is evident that Netanyahu does not have 61 seats to form a government. We will examine our options.
Blue and white leader Benny Gantz wants the next Knesset to pass a law barring an indicted prime minister from forming a government. Israel Beiteinu leader Avigdor Lieberman says he backs such a law. That means a majority of the Knesset, 62 members, support that law. That could effectively disqualify Netanyahu from forming the next government. Interior Ministry Aryeh Deri pointed out that the right won 500,000 more votes than the left. And he added, quote, "We will not allow election results to be changed by legislation." In addition to this legislation, there are several potential scenarios unfolding on Israel's political landscape. One would be Netanyahu having members of the Blue and White or Labor Party join a right-wing coalition.
The Labor Party, of all people, even though they lean left, they would like to have some say in an Israeli government, and especially if they're given a ministry that's important to them, like the finance ministry, they might consider it.
Another would be a left-wing coalition with the support of some Arab members of the Knesset. Finally, Israelis could go to the polls for a fourth election in 2020. The next few days and weeks will determine which one of these scenarios comes to pass. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Turning now to election news here in the United States, Elizabeth Warren is out of the Democratic presidential race, but when she dropped out Thursday, she did not endorse her fellow progressive Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden quickly received endorsements from Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, and Mike Bloomberg after they dropped out. Warren didn't rule out endorsing Sanders, and he could use it as Biden has moved into a clear lead over him in the polls. President Donald Trump visits disaster areas in Tennessee today, just days after powerful tornadoes whipped across the state, leaving a trail of devastation and killing 24 people. The first tornado began early Tuesday morning and created a 50-mile-wide trail of destruction well after midnight. In a preliminary survey, the National Weather Service says 4 tornadoes hit the state. CBN's Operation Blessing is on the scene, clearing debris and helping those in need. Gordon?
Operation Blessing is on the ground, and if you want to be a part of the relief effort, 4 tornadoes struck around Nashville. The devastation is truly horrible, and if you want to be a part of the relief effort, we have a special Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can write us, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia 23463, or you can go to the phone right now, 1-800-700-7000, or you can go to cbn.com. Either way, do it now. Be part of this relief effort. And if you're near Nashville and you want to volunteer and be a part of the Operation Blessing cleanup crews, we have a special information line for volunteers, 1-800-730-2537, or you can go to ob.org if you want to volunteer to help those in need.